Hey there, my name is Paul and this is Out of Neutral, a weekly vlog where we look to the Bible to get in gear and follow Jesus into the life he came to make possible. Today I want to talk about where God is in your mental health. A few weeks ago, we hosted several mental health professionals for a seminar entitled Renewed, Not Defeated: How to End the Pandemic Mentally Healthier Than You Started. As I listened to the speakers, it struck me how complex mental health really is. They talked about physical factors like diet, exercise, and chemical imbalances. They talked about social factors like isolation, group involvement, and safe relationships. They talked about factors related to trauma and abuse. And they talked a lot about what I'll call wisdom factors. When we believe things that aren't true and develop habits that are unwise, it affects our mental health. They also talked about how God can help. Too often I feel that we're guilty of oversimplifying mental health. As Christians, we can confuse mental and spiritual health or misunderstand how they relate to one another. When someone's suffering from anxiety or depression, if they have a religious background, they can assume it's a problem with their faith. I believe mental, spiritual, and physical health are all related but distinct. Physical exercise can help me feel more positive mentally, and depression can drain my energy physically. But you don't go to a therapist for a broken leg. Each area is related but distinct. One of the areas where I felt the pain of mental health is in anxiety. There was a period in my life where I felt a weight of anxiety about my future. In retrospect, it probably would have been helpful to have spoken with a therapist and gotten help sorting out where it was all coming from. But I know that I felt fear about the kind of person I was becoming. I feared the path that my life was on, and I feared the future that awaited me. What made those fears worse was a feeling of being completely alone with them. That's not to say that I didn't have friends, but I knew that none of them could do anything about my fears. My problem was too big for them and too big for me. That's what made me anxious. Around that time, I began reading the Bible for the first time. I wasn't sure I believed them, but the stories intrigued me. On one occasion, Jesus asked, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows." He pointed to a bird so small and insignificant that most people ignore it. I don't think the sparrow is a national bird of any country. It's the overlooked bird. But the point is, it's not overlooked by God. Jesus was saying that the life of even a second-rate bird matters to God, and he wanted us to know that so that we might see how much we matter to him. That was new to me. And I knew that if it was true, it would change things. Because I felt alone with my problems and powerless to change them. If there was a God who loved me and cared about the details of my life, I knew it could make a difference. That realization was a turning point for me. It didn't automatically erase my anxious fears about the future. But as I began to learn more about Jesus and eventually put my trust in him, I experienced the love of God that he described. And it gives me hope, strength, and reassurance. The life journey of each person who decides to follow Jesus looks different, and some face lifelong struggles with mental illness. We know that's true physically, so we shouldn't be surprised that it's true mentally. But there are 3 things that are common to God's work in every true believer that have a significant impact on our mental health. The first is receiving the love of God. Knowing that you are valued and cared for changes us. Facing struggles with God on your side is totally different than facing them alone. The second is that God's love stirs within us a love for him. As you grow in love with a God who is love, that love changes you. His values begin to rub off on you, and his wisdom changes your thinking. Finally, God's love for us nurtures within us a love for others. Most mental health struggles isolate us. We withdraw and push away. but God keeps pulling us back into the relationships we need to grow and thrive. Whatever your mental health has been, know that you don't have to be alone. Know that you're of more value than many sparrows. And know that there's a God in heaven who's numbered every hair on your head, and he wants a relationship with you. That's all for this time. If today's video has helped you get out of neutral, share it with your friends and subscribe to join us on the journey.